My mother rejected me my entire life over a man who rejected her. But when she showed up at my baby shower with my ex-boyfriend to destroy my marriage, all the messages she sent him were exposed, and she ended up alone forever. I'm 29 years old, I'm married to the love of my life, and I just had a beautiful baby 3 months ago. But I need to tell this story because what my mother did at my baby shower basically destroyed whatever relationship was left between us. And honestly, I think it was the best thing that could have happened. I know it sounds weird to say that, but when you've spent your whole life feeling like the unwanted daughter, you reach a point where you just want things to explode once and for all, you know? I guess I should start from the beginning. When my mother, Rebecca, yeah, she made me call her by her first name for as long as I can remember. Never mom or mommy. Just Rebecca. Got pregnant with me in her senior year of high school. She was like 17 years old. And my biological father, Jonathan, was 18. From what they told me later, when she told him she was pregnant, he was super honest with her and said he was going to support her financially and be present for me, but that he didn't want a romantic relationship with her. And honestly, I really respect my dad for that, because he never abandoned me. He was always there for me. But Rebecca never forgave him. I think that was the beginning of everything. Like, I represented that rejection to her. You know what I mean? When I was about 4 years old, Rebecca met Timothy at her job. He was a really good guy, you know, one of those genuinely kind men you don't find every day. And they got married when I was 5. And a year later, my sister Megan was born. And that's when things got really obvious. It's not that Rebecca was a bad mother to me before. Let's say she was indifferent, distant. But after Megan was born, it was like I didn't even exist. Megan was the perfect child, the daughter Rebecca really wanted, and I was just the one who was there, taking up space. Birthdays were the worst. Literally the worst. For my birthday, Rebecca would buy me a cake from the supermarket, those basic ones that cost like $20 that come in a plastic container, and give me like $50 to buy whatever I wanted. She wouldn't even wrap the money, just gave it to me in a white envelope. But for Megan, oh God, for Megan it was another level. Themed parties and event halls, custom 3-tier cakes, expensive gifts wrapped perfectly. Once, when Megan turned 8 and I was like 13, Rebecca organized a princess party for Megan with a bounce castle, entertainers, the whole show. And when my birthday came that year, she told me there was no budget for anything special because they had already spent a lot on Megan. I remember Jonathan found out and took me to dinner at my favorite restaurant and bought me the book I wanted. But it wasn't the same, you know? It wasn't that I wanted expensive things. I just wanted my own mother to look at me the same way she looked at Megan. Timothy always tried to compensate. He treated me exactly the same as Megan, included me in everything, told me he loved me, and honestly he was more of a father to me than Rebecca was a mother. When he got home from work, he always asked me how school went, sat down to help me with homework, went to my school events. Rebecca never went to anything of mine, literally nothing, but she didn't miss a single one of Megan's presentations. Once I had an art exhibition at school where they displayed a project of mine that had won first place, and I begged Rebecca to go. She said yes, that she'd be there, and I was so excited. Like, finally my mother was going to see something I had accomplished. Well, she didn't show up. Jonathan came, Timothy came with Megan, but not Rebecca. Later she told me she had forgotten because she had a lot of things on her mind. I was 15 years old. The funny thing is that Megan and I were always super close. Like best friends. She knew Rebecca treated me differently. And even though she was the favorite, she always tried to include me and share things with me. Megan is one of those people who just don't have any malice, you know? She never took advantage of her position as the favorite daughter to make me feel worse. On the contrary, she always defended me when she could. I remember once, when she was like 10 years old, she asked Rebecca why she never hugged me like she hugged her. And Rebecca got really angry and told her not to meddle in things she didn't understand. When I went to college, I got a full scholarship, by the way, because I knew Rebecca wasn't going to pay a single cent. Contact with her practically disappeared. She never called me, never asked how I was, nothing. Jonathan called me every week, Timothy texted me often, even Megan wrote to me every day. But Rebecca, total silence. And the worst part is that I kept trying. Like, I was the one sending her messages to tell her about my classes, my achievements, and she'd respond with monosyllables or not even respond at all. But on Facebook, Because yeah, Rebecca was one of those super active moms on Facebook. She posted pictures with Megan every other day with captions like, "My perfect princess" and "My reason for living." And I appeared in her photos maybe twice a year. And when I did, she wouldn't even tag me. In my senior year of college, I met Eric. Eric was an amazing guy, studied engineering, was super smart and attractive, and we fell in love pretty quickly. We'd been dating for like 8 months when it was my graduation. And obviously, I invited him to the ceremony and the family dinner afterwards. That was the first time Rebecca met Eric, and I swear to God, it was super awkward. We were at the restaurant, everyone celebrating, and Rebecca wouldn't stop making weird comments about Eric. Things like, "Oh, your boyfriend is so handsome. Take good care of him because these handsome guys don't stick with one girl. And I bet you have a lot of admirers, Eric. I bet my daughter has to be watching you all the time." Eric was visibly uncomfortable, and so was I. But we all laughed nervously and tried to continue with dinner. What I didn't know was that after that day, Rebecca sent Eric a friend request on Facebook, and he accepted it because, well, she was my mother, right? I didn't pay attention to it at the time, but Eric mentioned to me like 6 months later that Rebecca was liking all his posts and commenting on things, and that it seemed a bit weird to him, but he didn't want to make drama. He even told me something that at the time I didn't fully process, but now makes a lot of sense. He told me, "Your mom is jealous of you, you know that?" And I laughed because it seemed ridiculous to me. Like, why would my own mother be jealous of me? But Eric insisted. He told me that the way Rebecca looked at me and talked about me wasn't normal, that it seemed like she was competing with me instead of being my mother. Eric and I lasted 3 years together, and they were 3 good years, honestly, but in the end it just didn't work out. Our careers took us to different cities and we decided to end it on good terms. It was an amicable breakup, no drama, no fights, we just recognized that our paths were separating. Rebecca, curiously, was very interested in that breakup. She called me, one of the few times she called me voluntarily, to ask me what had happened. And when I explained, she started saying things like, "Oh, what a shame. Eric was so handsome and such a good guy. I don't know if you're going to find someone like that again. And at your age, you should already be thinking about settling down. You can't afford to let the good ones go." Honestly, her comments made me feel terrible, but I was so used to Rebecca making me feel bad that I just ignored it. About a year after breaking up with Eric, I met William at a work conference. William is an architect. He's 32 years old. At that time, he was 28. And from the first moment we talked, I felt there was a different connection, you know? It wasn't just physical attraction. It was like we understood each other on a deeper level. We started dating and things flowed in such a natural way that at 8 months we were already talking about the future. And then the unexpected happened. I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, but it also wasn't a horrible accident. Like, we were at a point in our relationship where a baby wasn't total craziness. When we told my family, Jonathan was super happy, Timothy too. Megan was super excited to be an aunt. But Rebecca, oh, Rebecca, had a reaction I still can't believe. She looked at me with a disgusted face and said, "You're pregnant? Seriously? And you're going to have the baby?" I told her yes, that William and I were happy and that we were going to get married. And she just shook her head and said, "My God, I can't believe you're going to ruin your life like this. You're not ready to be a mother, and I'm not ready to be a grandmother. What are my friends going to think? You're going to ruin my reputation." That's what she said. Not congratulations. Not how exciting, but that I was going to ruin her reputation. At that moment, something in me broke. Literally broke. I told her, "You know what, Rebecca? I've spent my whole life trying to be enough for you, trying to earn your love, your approval, whatever, and it's never been enough. I've always been the daughter you didn't want, the one who embarrasses you, the one you wish didn't exist. But you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm going to have my baby. I'm going to marry the man I love, and I'm going to be happy with or without your approval." A horrible fight broke out. Rebecca started screaming that I was ungrateful, that she had sacrificed her entire youth for me, that I had no right to talk to her like that. And I screamed back at her. I let out everything I had kept in for years. I told her she had never loved me, that she had always made me feel less than Megan, that I couldn't even call her mom because she had never behaved like one. Timothy tried to calm things down, but I was already furious. I told her I didn't want to see her again, that I didn't want her in my life or in my baby's life, and I left her house. After that, I blocked her number, blocked her from all social media, everything. William supported me completely. He had seen how Rebecca treated me and agreed that I needed to distance myself from her for my mental health. We got married in a small, intimate ceremony 2 months later, with Jonathan, Timothy, Megan, and William's parents and siblings. Rebecca wasn't invited, obviously. The pregnancy progressed well, and when I was 7 months along, we decided to have a baby shower. Megan insisted on organizing it, and I accepted because I knew she would do it with love. I left everything in her hands. I only asked her to please not invite Rebecca. Megan swore to me she wouldn't, that she was also angry with Rebecca for how she had treated me, and I believed her because she had never lied to me. The day of the baby shower arrived. I was super excited. The place was beautiful. There were like 50 people between family and friends, everyone celebrating our baby. We were in the middle of the games when I heard Rebecca's voice. I turned around and there she was, entering the room like nothing, and next to her, you won't believe it, was Eric. Yes, my ex-boyfriend Eric, who I literally hadn't seen in 2 years. My blood ran cold. I looked at Megan with a face like, what the hell? And she was just as shocked as me. Her eyes were wide open and she was shaking her head, like, I didn't invite her. I swear. Rebecca walked toward me with a huge smile, as if she were the guest of honor, and Eric was coming behind her with a face that said he was super uncomfortable. Everyone in the room had gone quiet, watching the scene. Rebecca hugged me, and when I say hugged, I mean, she touched me with her fingertips for half a second, and said loudly for everyone to hear, "Surprise, my love. I brought you someone special. I thought this was the perfect moment for you and Eric to reconcile." And then she looked at William and said, "No offense, but I think my daughter made a mistake marrying you, when Eric was always the right one for her." The silence was deafening. William looked somewhere between confused and angry. I was in total shock. And Eric, God bless Eric, looked mortified. I took a step toward Rebecca and said, as calmly as I could, "What are you doing? Why did you bring Eric to my baby shower?" And she responded, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world, "Because you're still on time, you can still fix things, and you can be with who's really right for you." That's when Eric spoke. He said, "Rebecca, I already told you in the messages that I wasn't going to do this. I only came because you said you wanted to apologize to your daughter and that you needed my moral support. But this is crazy." And then he looked at me and said, "I'm sorry. I didn't know she was going to do this. She's been sending me messages on Facebook for weeks telling me that you made a mistake marrying William, that you still loved me, that I should come find you and convince you to leave your husband." I told her no, that it was inappropriate and that you were happy, but she kept insisting and insisting, and I finally agreed to come today only because she said she was going to apologize to you and that she just needed me to be there as support. But this isn't an apology. This is manipulation. Rebecca's face turned red like a tomato. She tried to deny everything, saying that Eric was misinterpreting things, but Eric took out his phone and started reading the messages out loud. Messages where Rebecca literally said things like, "My daughter still loves you. I know if you come and talk to her, she'll leave that man, and William isn't enough for her. You're the one who should be the father of her baby, and please just give me this chance to fix my daughter's mistake." There were like 20 messages, one after another, begging Eric to come destroy my marriage. Timothy, who until that moment had been quiet, exploded. He yelled at Rebecca, asking how she could do something like that she was sick. How could she try to sabotage her own daughter's happiness? Megan was crying, Jonathan was furious, and all the guests were watching this family drama unfold in real time. Rebecca tried to make excuses, saying she only wanted the best for me, that William wasn't enough, that I deserved to be with someone like Eric. And I simply told her, "Get out. Get out of my baby shower. Get out of my life. I don't want to see you ever again." She left. But before leaving, she told me, "You're going to regret this. Someday you'll understand that everything I do is for your own good." And she left the room furious. Eric stayed for a moment, apologized to me again, shook William's hand and told him I had found a good man, and then he left too. The rest of the baby shower was weird. Everyone tried to continue with the celebration, but the atmosphere was already ruined. Still, I appreciated that everyone tried to make me feel better, And honestly, the support from family and friends that afternoon confirmed that I had made the right decision to cut contact with Rebecca. 3 weeks later, my baby was born, a beautiful and healthy boy. Jonathan was at the hospital. Timothy, too. Megan practically moved in with us the first few weeks to help us. But Rebecca didn't know about the birth until days later when someone else told her. She tried to go to the hospital, but we told security not to let her in. She sent flowers and a card that said, "Forgive me. I just want to meet my grandson." But I threw them in the trash. About a month after the birth, Timothy separated from Rebecca. He called me to tell me he couldn't continue with her after what she did, that he had given her an ultimatum. Either she apologized to me for real and sought therapy, or he was leaving. She refused, said she had nothing to apologize. Timothy. For that everyone was exaggerating. So Timothy left. Megan also cut contact with her, and now lives with Timothy in an apartment. Rebecca was left completely alone. And I know it sounds cruel, but I don't feel even a bit of guilt. Today my baby is 3 months old, and he's the most beautiful thing in the world. William is an amazing father. We're happy. We have a family that supports and loves us. Jonathan comes to see us every week. Timothy and Megan are here all the time, and I don't miss at all the toxicity that Rebecca brought to my life. Sometimes I think about everything I went through with her. All those years feeling like I wasn't enough, and I realized the problem was never me. It was always her. She was the one who was jealous of her own daughter. She was the one who couldn't see her daughter be happy. She was the one who needed therapy and never sought it. Last week, my son grabbed my finger while I was feeding him and looked at me with those little eyes, and I thought, I'm never going to make this child feel what Rebecca made me feel. I'm going to love him unconditionally. I'm going to celebrate his achievements. I'm going to be there at every important moment. And never am I going to compete with him or try to sabotage his happiness. And that's enough for now, I guess.